welcome to all of you to the 7th edition of the Times Group's ET Now Best BFSI Brands Conclave 2024. Now, in this edition, we also have a very interesting overarching theme, which is to do with financial frontiers leading the future of banking and finance. Now, this is where we actually get to highlight the success stories of brands that have been successful in creating safe, efficient and equitable systems for their customers while also maintaining growth rate in competitive landscape. We're about to get the program started, ladies and gentlemen, with a keynote address featuring none other than Amitabh Ranjan, Registrar, Indian Institute of Public Administration, Government of India.
The government policies over the last 10 years have become very friendly towards BFSI sector. We all know that India has become a world leader in the field of digital transformation. Particularly, the BFSI sector is the flag bearer in this mission of digital transformation in India. Due to the proactive and innovative approach of BFSI sector, India has become truly a Vishwaguru in this field. Say, for example, the UPI. UPI, we all know that a truly unique thing about the Indian BFSI. In fact, it has made the financial transactions so simple that even an illiterate person is able to do the financial transactions. This has been a game changer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now be quickly giving a makeover to the stage. We're setting the stage for a very riveting panel discussion coming your way. And this is where we're talking about pioneering the next wave in BFSI, wherein we set the vision for 2024.
Let me come with the first question to Vishakha. Where do you see are the real wave of growth? 2-3 things that comes to your mind, Vishakha.
This is my personal take, that we moved from a predominantly savings economy with a Hindu rate of growth to a majorly lending manufacturing economy, losing probably the balance of savings for the long term and investing from a manufacturing perspective. I think we need to find the balance, and that's where I believe life insurance comes in.
I think a lot of startups, a lot of new age promoters are getting into the field. So what are your thoughts into fueling the growth?
I think it is important that Bharat will drive India. And I think we have to be very clear that the growth of tier 3 to tier 5 towns actually is the place which actually requires. And it requires micro-entrepreneurship, if I were to really put across. And just to give you a data on that, I think the contribution of micro-MSMEs is 30% of GDP, whereas the bank credit going is around only 5%. So there's a huge gap which is there. I think it's important, other than the banking sector, which is the NBFCs and HFCs and as Awas, really to focus and help those segments which are there, which is basically the assessment kind of cash flows and then giving credit to them. We're one of the few HFCs or the only HFCs in India to have done micro MSME, which is basically helping the startup at the micro enterprise level where you do not have the fund available or you do not have the wherewithal which is there. So I think the need of the hour really is the capital, gross capital formulation happening in the productive assets really to push and pull up the GDP overall.
Now we're about to move forward to another interesting fireside chat, if I may put it that way, because we're talking about supercharging growth. Mr. Vivek, over to you, sir.
My first question to Sachin. What do you think in terms of, is the ecosystem ready for the next level of growth using some of the digital banking initiatives as well as fintechs that we have in India?
When you talk about India ecosystem for digital or fintech adoption or financial services inclusion adoption, I think probably we are more than ready. I must say that, right now, the amount of activity is happening in the ecosystem, which is driven by the financial institutions, regulator, fintech players. Everybody, is participating in that.
Most growth which we have seen in the digital or the fintech space, other than UPI, of course, which is an exception, is in the area of tier 1. So tier 2, tier 3 still remains untapped. Now, what is required? I mean, if we are digital ready, certainly it's important to increase participation from these markets as well. It is now important that we focus on financial literacy first.
Well, it's time for us to set the stage again, and this is where we're about to bring your focus back to the much-awaited felicitations as we talk about the ET BFSI Best Brands. Now, back in the morning, during the start of the program, I did mention about the fact that our knowledge partner, Median Research, actually managed to lay down certain parameters in order to, shortlist the best brands in the BFSI sector. It's only befitting that we actually get to hear a little more about the methodology, for which I'd like to please invite on stage Mr. Venkat Krishna Rao, Divisional Head Research, Median Research and Consulting.
Looking at the methodology we employed to arrive at the final brands, final list of scores, what we started and did is a 4-step process. First, we selected which parameters on the parameters on which we have to evaluate these brands. Then we looked at a collection of data for these parameters. Then we had a rating assignment for them for each of these parameters. And finally, an indexing of the score, which was done using the parameter weights. Parameter weights are nothing but the importance we associate with each of these parameters. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we march towards the felicitations, before we do so, I must admit the fact that we have the riveting presence of a man who wears multiple roles, if I may put it in this way, across his career, across his persona. Ladies and gentlemen, we have none other than Bharat Dabolkar. I'd also like to once again please invite on stage Mr. Amitabh Ranjan, Registrar, Indian Institute of Public Administration, Government of India, to please join Bharat Dabolkar as well. And before we gear up, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we'll also take the opportunity for the unveiling of the coffee table book on the screen for all of you. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a round of cheer. That's the coffee table book, ET Now Best BFSI Brands. All right, with that, we're about to get started with the very first set of felicitations. Ladies and gentlemen, ET Now Best BFSI Brands. First up, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Edelweiss Alternatives.
Private markets are largely AIFs in the country's context, and we have already touched 11 lakh crores in overall quantum. This is almost a 35% growth rate over the last 3 years. The primary interest of these AIFs is being driven by high net worth individuals, family offices, and institutional investors who are looking at diversified products. What is also driving their interest is that now there are large fund houses and asset managers who have over the years built a track record of trust, transparency, and delivering superior risk-adjusted returns. So this allows them to invest their money with more confidence and across a variety of strategies which were hitherto unavailable to any of the investor class. There is a very strong sense of sponsorship at the senior management level in Edelweiss. We already have more than 1/4 of our staff as women, and they are at across the position including senior levels. We expect to increase this to 1/3 over the years as we improve our diversity.
Let's hear it now for DBS Bank, India.
As future trends of financial inclusion, I see integration of digital technologies and the India stack, helping banks like us to reach and serve underserved communities. At DBS, we believe in responsible banking. In it, we partner with various ecosystem players which bring us the technology capabilities and various other capabilities to serve the underserved communities seamlessly. I see a few challenges. Number one, the threat of cybersecurity. And second, the concerns on data privacy. At DBS again, we continue to educate the community around good cyber hygiene practices, fostering greater trust.
And the next name that's being felicitated is Capital Small Finance Bank.
Right from the very beginning, we have been very employee-friendly company, and testimony to that is that on various, we have been, for 5 consecutive years, we were amongst India's 100 best companies to work for. So right from the day one, we have been empowering women. If you see, say, when I talk about workforce at the head office, where you'll see majority of them are women. And there are rare example of where like women which we onboarded at the very basic level have grown up to the level of branch manager and above.
And now hear it for Annapurna Finance. Let's hear it for Axis Bank. Let's march ahead and let's invite the next name that's being felicitated, Bank of Baroda. Let's hear it now for BSE Limited. So let's also go ahead and invite the next brand, ladies and gentlemen, HDFC Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for ICICI Bank. Let's also hear it for the next name that's being felicitated, Indian Bank. Well, up next, it's only befitting that I now invite the next name that's being felicitated, National Stock Exchange of India. And the next name to be felicitated as the ET Now Best BFSI Brands, ladies and gentlemen, YONO SBI. Coming up next, we have another prolific speaker who's about to share with us about the technology solutions to rethink everyday processes. We have none other than the head BFSI Lead Squared, Mr. Varun Kullar.
Lead Squared is a B2B SaaS unicorn. We provide end-to-end solutions for customer onboarding, lead management, loan origination systems, sales force efficiency, and so on and so forth. We've been growing almost 2x for the last 3 to 4 years, and recognized by industry, industry experts, including Deloitte, Gartner, and so on and so forth. Our solutions are across these 4 segments: banking, lending, insurance, and so on. We also have, extremely robust data analytics platforms, and again, business intelligence is at the end of the day critical. All the data that you're collecting, how is that enabling, the growth of your business? So, self-serve reports, self-serve dashboards, pretty standard stuff, but, there are tools available for you to do that on your own. So if you're changing reports on the fly and you want to customize them, you have the power to do that rather than raise change requests on us all the time. That doesn't happen now. And of course, enterprise-grade security, safety, which is needless to say. Well, yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much.
We're about to indulge in another interesting conversation, charting the financial future, and this is where we are harnessing data for tomorrow's BFSI success.
So Rajiv, to start with, probably we would like to hear what you do in SBI, what your department is responsible for. What is the digital transformations that you're doing there?
So digital plays a very important role there, in the sense that we run our own channels like internet banking. We have a super app, Yono, and provide customized offerings. We reach out to the customer through the digital channel, through the contact centers, and actually we try to proactively sell to the customers, both cross-selling and upselling. We do a lot of product and the process redesigning, because ultimately in the form and shape where the product is there, it cannot be delivered through digitally. It has to be customized in some manner. So that part we also handle. By means of doing all these activities, we are actually adding significant value not only to the customer but also to the bank as a whole.
As we move forward, let me remind you again, we have another round of felicitations lined up, but before that, let's actually set the stage for the next session coming your way. This is where we're talking about mastering compliance. A very, very pertinent topic in the times that we're living in today. With that, I'd like to please hand it over to you, Kuntal. Over to you then, sir.
So with this changing regulations, let me ask Ms. Kamla, you are in the professional for long and probably looking at the changing of role and expectation from different stakeholders. So what are your views, how the institutions can manage the changing expectation from the stakeholders?
If we look at the securities market transformation in the last 3 decades, we have walked a long path. Starting from an era where we did not have any norms or rules to run a market, today there is not an element or a dimension where rules do not exist. Regulators have done wonderfully well. And we have seen the result of increased focus on regulation and compliance. Today, whatever we do, whether it is because of regulation or whether it is because of customer ask, all of us want to be on the right side of the stakeholder expectations. Today, it is no longer only customer is the king. Customer, of course, continues to be the king. But in addition, we also have employees who contribute as important stakeholder. We have regulators with whom we are partnering for creating a safe ecosystem as a stakeholder, and not to forget the environment in today's ESG world. So, various stakeholders are important and integral part of our business ecosystem, and looking at everyone's expectation is what the norms of the country being fair to stakeholders.
We now march ahead to our second set of felicitations as we hear it for these amazing brands that are truly making an impact in the industry. First up, Aavas Financiers.
Government's focus on housing for all under PMAY, I think that is one of the biggest drivers which is there, followed by the kind of infrastructure development which is happening in the tier 3 to tier 5 towns, the retail affluence, the aspirational demand, and housing finance companies like Aavas being available there to finance the needs of the customers. I think these are the broad 3 things which are really driving the demand in the affordable space in tier 3 to tier 5 towns. Aavas has been a leader, thought leader, as well as a leader in the unserved, underserved, unbanked markets in tier 3 to tier 5 towns. And I think 2 things which are very important in the tech initiative what we've taken is Bharat has become more digitally literate, and we want to leverage that opportunity which is there. And that's a part of digital public infrastructure and Digital India drive. All that put together, availability of Aavas at the places which really you see the demand and the growth coming across, the retail affluence which really has kicked in, the aspirational demand which has really come in India, and using the state-of-art technology, and with our governance, quality and metrics, I think we are poised to grow in the coming times.
As the felicitations continue, let's hear it for Indel Money.
The future of financial inclusions shall be shaped by integration of newer technologies, by which would pave path for including more and more people into the financial system. But still the challenge would remain on the basis of the digital divide. For this, organizations should diversify their financial products in order to cater the diverse needs and requirements of individuals.
Let's also hear it for KLM Axiva Finvest.
We are a non-banking financial company which is predominantly there in gold loan. The strategies, if you ask me, this is actually a micro lending where we need to clearly give a very good customer satisfaction for that matter, so we are very keen into that. So customer-centric approach is that we are really focusing on. Second, there's a world of AI, so that digitalization is very, very important. So we clearly focus on data analytics and artificial intelligence for segmenting across. Tied to expansion strategy, so that we reach directly to the villagers and rural population to have this kind of micro loans.
Well, up next, let's have a wealthy round of applause. Let's hear it for Bonanza Portfolio Limited.
In the wealth management space, mostly the challenges are going to be around using technology for personalized data-driven insights while navigating the complexities of regulations. So how Bonanza is trying to adapt or overcome these challenges are through enhanced user experience and complete digital transformation. So we've recently launched Bigul, which is our digital broking platform. It's a fully loaded digital broking platform which is helping young and experienced traders achieve success.
With that, let's go ahead and now felicitate Niva Bupa Health Insurance.
On the company side, what we see a very big use is on this entire area of customer service, where generative AI is playing a very, very big role. Now, one advantage of using generative AI, because they are built on large language models, you can ground the conversation in many languages and dialects in India. But out and out, I think what the regulator talks about, and it has also been come out in a Niti Aayog report, there are 42 crore Indians who do not have any kind of insurance. Digital technologies with the power of generative AI could really make this missing middle come under the ambit of health insurance by 2047. So it's a very interesting time for insurance and health insurance in particular.
The next name to be felicitated, ladies and gentlemen, Muthoot Fincorp. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for PhonePe. Well, up next, I now invite PL Capital. Prabhudas Leeladhar, PL Capital. Ladies and gentlemen, the next brand to be felicitated, SBI General Insurance Company Limited. And the final name that's being felicitated, ladies and gentlemen, ET Now, Best BFSI Brands. Let's hear it for Universal Sompo General Insurance Company. That now brings us to a very special address featuring Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, the non-executive chairman of the board and independent director, NPCI. We are looking at digitalization and fintech innovations, and who better than the innovator himself. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Having highlighted the need for balance in the sustainable growth of fintech sector, I believe, be it life or in business, balance comes from focusing on the right things. Therefore, my prescription for the tech innovation in the financial sector would be to focus on two key elements. One is customer centricity and other is governance. In any scenario, customer centricity should always be central to any innovation. As regards the governance, the principle of good governance does not need any elaboration. We ought to inculcate the value of accountability, fairness, transparency, and independence in the processes and people within the organization.
Huge round of applause to once again thank Mr. Ajay Chaudhary. Thank you very much, sir, for your pioneering presence with us. Thank you so much for being part of this phenomenal program. This is Kavya Chavli signing off. Thank you once again for being part of it.